I was looking at a list the other day of things that people don't like about the current era. There was a lot of boomers complaining, but some of the things they had to say were valid. For example, I don't want to have to download an app to look at at a restaurant's menu. No, that's a piece of BS right there. But a lot of them were disturbing when they made their statements. And one of the ones that really stuck out to me is that a person said, no one's decent anymore. How do you define decent? When you say that, what do you mean? Does decent mean a certain set of codes, certain set of behaviors? And if people don't abide by them, you're unhappy or uncomfortable? Does decent mean making sure that you're never uncomfortable? And that if you are made uncomfortable, that person isn't being decent? Because those are the characteristics of social conservatism. If you don't want the world to make you uncomfortable, and you're willing to take efforts to make sure the world doesn't make you uncomfortable by limiting the autonomy of others, by limiting their access to the world at large, by limiting their ability to speak up for themselves and say, hey, you know something? That thing that you just did, it's wrong. Right there, that thing right there, and that thing you did right there, that's wrong. If that makes you uncomfortable, it should, because you did wrong. And if you think they're being indecent because they're pointing out how you messed up, that's a problem. This is a learning experience. Somebody says, hey, you screwed up. Now you can learn from that point, that fact. You can apologize and then change your behavior so you don't do it in the future. Or you can just whine and complain, well, no one's decent anymore. Because again, what you mean is, people make me uncomfortable and I don't like that. Too bad you're uncomfortable. And I know people are going to throw at me like, well, the snowflakes want, trigger warnings. Well, trigger warnings are just an act of decency, where you're telling someone this particular content that you're about to view or read or listen to or what have you is going to have things in it that you could find upsetting. It's not saying, I am not going to say these things. I'm not going to show this film. I'm not going to print this article. That person is not saying you can't do these things. They're just asking for a warning. Then they can make a decision for themselves. Do I want to consume that media? And if they've been warned, then they can prepare themselves and consume it. Or they can just nope out. But they're not telling the other folks not to produce the media, not to spread the media, so long as it's not in a direct, you know, act of discrimination and bigotry. Yeah, you shouldn't be disseminating Nazi propaganda, which would undermine a lot of what the GOP does nowadays. Um, but whenever somebody says that what happened with decency, you need to ask them, how do you define that? What does it mean to you? Is your not being upset more important than someone else's civil rights, someone else's human rights? Is that more important to you? That you don't feel, that you don't feel bad in here? That you don't get that horrible pressure in your chest because, somebody said you did wrong? Is that more important that you never experience that? Or if you violate someone's civil liberties? So I think these are important questions. I think we need to ask whatever somebody brings up the concept of decency. Look at it real hard and ask them what they mean by that. And if they get real quiet and they don't want to tell you, they just told you.